What if we started doing some Roth conversions? We're not going to do it in a big way. Small amounts, $50,000 a year. That's it, $50,000 a year. And we're going to do it for the next 7 years. Yes, we pay annual tax, a little bit more money early on, but we add it all up in how much tax are we paying now? Not $1 million. It was $945. Now the number, 2055, about $640. We shaved $300,000 in tax over her lifetime. Instead of giving the IRS almost $1 million, $945,000, we give them $300,000 less. If we're not giving that $300,000 to the IRS, where's it go? It goes in her pocket to increase her financial security, which makes her money last, yeah, you got it, longer. You got this. As long as you set this up the right way, you can retire. Now the question is, of course, this is just a simple scenario. Some are more complex, some are easier. Your situation, what does your situation look like? If you've got 40% of your money earning 1, and you're hoping that the stock market makes up the difference over the next 30 years of your life, well, that might be a problem. Today, on this 4% rule, the dividends and interest that this is generating down here, it's not 40,000. This portfolio today does not generate 40,000 of dividends and interest. It generates about 15,000. Where is the rest of the money coming from? Where are you going to get the other 25,000? Guess what? You got to sell stocks. You got to sell positions. So if those positions aren't going up over time, you got yourself a problem. And here's what happened. So in 2013, 20 years after this whole idea came about, Morningstar, you've probably heard of them, Morningstar came out and they said, maybe we should revisit this whole idea. Maybe we should say, does this really work? And you know what Morningstar said? They said this. They said, you know what? You might as well flip a coin. Flip a coin. Because 50% of the time, if you do this, you're going to run out of money before you die. You will run out of money in retirement about half the time. Half the time it works out, half the time it doesn't. That's the equivalent of flipping a coin. I don't want to enter in retirement knowing I only got a 50-50 chance that my money's going to last. What if, going back to our little stool here, same 3 legs, but you say, Mike, I don't have, here's Social Security, here's my savings. Mike, the pension leg, I don't have that at all. I'm not going to have that. And maybe you're like 50 years old, right? And you say, I don't have that pension leg. Well, guess what? Already it might make sense to do what we just talked about. Take some of your savings and use it to build a pension leg for your future. Because guess what? Putting money in an annuity earlier on gives you some compounding. That can be a powerful thing to do. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But notice what we're talking about here. We're talking about using annuities. I'm going to put a red letter word. Income for life. In other words, using annuities, taking some of your savings to buy annuities to provide some amount of income that's guaranteed to last your lifetime. And guess what does that do for you? It provides predictability, stability. It just makes your retirement that much more secure. It provides financial security for your retirement. And guess what? In today's world, there is nothing, and I mean nothing. There is no other financial tool, none, that can do that as well as an annuity. Let's imagine that you're going to be in a low tax bracket both today. Let's say you're in a low tax bracket today and you're going to be in a low tax bracket tomorrow. So we're like, wow, low taxes plus. Yeah, we're in low tax brackets today. We're going to be in low tax brackets tomorrow. Then, probably, we would say, let's use red, no. We probably don't want to do any Roth conversions because doing a Roth conversion today might put you in a higher tax bracket. But if you're just trying to avoid a low tax bracket later on, well then, what good did you do yourself? Warning with this one. Warning. If you have a large IRA, let's say your IRA or your 401k is like $1 million, you might be thinking, oh, I'm going to be in a low bracket today and a low bracket tomorrow. I'm cool. Uh-oh, not so fast. Because that brings up situation number 2. What if you're in a low tax bracket today, you think you're going to be in a low tax bracket when you're retired, but because your IRA is so big, the required distributions are actually going to put you up here. You're like, uh-oh, I'm in a low tax bracket today down here, yay, but I'm going to be in a high tax bracket when I retire because my stupid required minimum distributions are going to put me there. Well, if that's the case, then, boom, we're going to go green. Yes, you should do, or at least look at doing Roth conversions in that example. And in that example, you're probably in a position where you should be thinking about filling up either the 22% bracket. I would even encourage you to be open-minded to getting a little more aggressive in filling up the 24% brackets. And when you look at the higher tax brackets in retirement, here's a pro tip. Make sure you're looking at the tax brackets that were in place in 2017 because those tax brackets under current law are supposed to come back into force starting in 2026. You're saying, well, gee, I don't like this deal. If I grow it to $3 million, you know, you're saying to yourself, gosh, my share would go down. I don't like that. I don't like that this goofball partner of mine can increase his share at any point. I don't like that. I think I want to buy him out. But the way you buy it out, you don't have to when it's $1 million business, remember, what's our ownership? 1/3, 2/3. Do you have to write a check for $333,000 to buy me out? I mean, I guess you could. Or what you could do is you could just say to me, you could say, hey, Mike, silent partner, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this business, cut it in thirds. You take your third, I'll take my 2/3, and we will just separate and go our separate ways and be happy. And that way you can do whatever you want with your 2/3. You can grow it all you want, and all my power goes away, right? Now, my question is, if this were your business, how fast do you buy me out? I mean, how fast are you buying out that goofball Mike silent partner character, right? How fast, I mean, I don't care if you write a check. I don't care if you split the business. How fast are you getting that guy out of your life? How fast? Well, by the way, everyone in the world, if you understand what I'm showing you here, what does everyone say? There's only one right answer. The answer is, I'm getting this goofball out of my life, N-O-W, now. Like, now. You're out of here, dude, because this is a crummy deal for me, right? That's how it works. So here's the thing, and this is the part that I didn't want to give away earlier on. Do you know what the name of that business is? Do you know what it is? The name of that business is your IRA, or it might be called your 401k, your 403b. That business is nothing more than a qualified retirement plan. Think about it. If you have an IRA or a 401k worth $1 million, you try to cash that bad boy out, right? What's it worth? Something's worth what you put in your pocket. Guess what? You get about 2/3 of it. The IRS gets about 1/3. In fact, they probably get a little more. And if you grow it, the bigger it gets, the bigger percentage goes to the IRS. See, I'm not your silent partner. The IRS is your silent partner. Can the government change the tax code anytime they want? Yeah. And do they spend money like crazy? Yeah. So, I mean, guess what? The minute they increase taxes down the road, guess what just happened? Their share went up, your share went down, right? It's that simple. And you have the ability to kick out your silent partner, the IRS, anytime. That's called a Roth conversion. If you do a Roth conversion, right? You do a Roth conversion on $1 million, it's now your money, whatever's, it's all your money. If you're over 59.5, you can say, hey, IRS, I'm going to withhold the tax. 667 goes to me, 333 goes to you. We go our separate ways. All is good. We had the dot-com crash of 2000. We had 9/11 of all things, then a recession in 2002. The market lost almost half its value, or about half its value, over a 3-year period. But then it went up, 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 up. And then what happened? 2008. And then we had some recovery, but that 10-year period, look at this. If you started with $1 million January 1st, 2000, you just let it ride, you would have had about 882. You would have lost 100 grand. You would have been down about 1% a year. Now, the secret to investing intelligently in periods like this, like you're seeing on the screen right here, believe it or not, it's the same secret to investing in good times as well. And that secret is this: don't get greedy. Don't get greedy. That's a secret. Don't get greedy. Now, what do I mean? What I mean is this. What kills you in these periods of time are the bad market years. In this example, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2008. Bad years in the market, especially double-digit losses. They kill you. They just kill you. And even though you have really good years, like you have years in here you're making 20, 30%, they're not enough because the bad years killed you. You've got to avoid the bad years. Now, how do you do that? You got to shrink your volatility. You got to take less risk with your investing or be more intelligent. So one of the things I did here just to compare. Now, what I'm about to show you, there's no investment out there that does this exactly. It's just a mental exercise. Hypothetically, what if you could put money somewhere where you would never lose money or lose a little bit? Alternatively, if the markets are doing well, you get a lot of the upside. So each year, like, okay, the market's down in 2008, 37%. What if you just didn't lose 37? I mean, what if you only lost like nothing or maybe 5%? But if you're going to invest that way, guess what? In the good years, you're not going to get all the upside either, are you? So what if you get like none of the losses, half of the upside? And by the way, there are tools that do something really similar to that today. I'm not going to go into details because that's just beyond the scope of this discussion. What would that look like? Oh, it looks like this right here. If you were doing something like that, if you're investing that way from 2000, 2009, even though the stock market lost money, you would have averaged about what, 4.5% a year? Instead of being down 100 grand, you would have been up 450. Now, how do you get on that green line? Easy. What did I say earlier? 3 words. Don't get greedy. Hit singles and doubles, not home runs and strikeouts, if you will. Well, did that same approach of don't get greedy work after 1970, in the 70s, from 70 to 79? Well, let's take a look. Well, there it is. From 1970 to 1979, if you were just buy and hold in the stock market, you've been like, wow, I'm making money. Yay, life is good. And then, 73, 74 hit. Remember the OPEC oil crisis and the lines to the gas station? Oh, up we go, and then down again, up we go. It's just, you're all over the place. And at the end of the decade, you're up like 172 grand. That's about 1.5% a year compounded. Yay, yippee, right? Who cares? But look at this. Taking the conservative approach of hitting singles and doubles, avoid the losses, do okay in the good years, you end up with 1.5. 500,000 on the plus side, about closer to 5% return, right? Whatever is left over goes through the probate river. Now, a lot of people say, no problem, Mikey. I got this figured out. I got me I'll put a W here. I got me a will. So we're good. Not so fast. A will, what is a will? A will is nothing more than a set of instructions that you give to the probate judge. A will guarantees probate. Anything that goes through a will is guaranteed to go through probate because that's what a will does. The purpose of a will is when you go to probate, it's a document you give to the probate judge. You say, here you are, your honorable Mr. or Mrs. Judge. This is what my parents who just died want to have happen. This is how estate planning works. This is the order. Beneficiaries are number one. It doesn't matter what your trust says. It doesn't matter if your trust says, oh, my IRA goes to John over here, but if your IRA, the beneficiary says, no, it doesn't go to John, it goes to Jill, guess what? It's going to Jill because beneficiaries trump everything. POD, TOD trumps, contracts trump, all that stuff, all of this trumps what your trust says. What is Dave Ramsey famous for? Like, what is he really, really good at? Well, the answer is helping get you out of debt, right? That's what he does. He's really good at helping the average, everyday person get out of debt. And I think that is wonderful. I think that's the most wonderful service. That is fantastic. I love him when he talks about that. I love when he helps people do that. You know why? Because that's what he knows. That's what he understands. That's what he's really, really good at. That's his expertise. I've gotten a couple people asking me about it. I've seen some videos of him talking about this, but it all has to do with Dave Ramsey's investment recommendations. I'm going to share this with you that generally speaking, maybe you might want to consider another opinion. So why? Let's talk about what they are. This is what Dave wants you to do. According to him, this is how everybody should be investing money like all the time. 4 funds. All you need are 4, and he loves mutual funds. I don't know why, but here's what he says. First, you need 4 mutual funds. You need a growth fund, a growth and income fund, an international fund, and like an aggressive growth fund. Basically, growth, 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 growth. Now, let's imagine that you are my man Luke, right behind the camera. You don't see Luke, just wave or something. Yeah, he's waving at me, you don't see him. But Luke, who's behind the camera, he's like 22 or 23 or something, right? Young guy, super smart, super talented. Now let's imagine Luke is saving for retirement. I would have no problem if he wanted to use those 4 mutual funds. If he said, yeah, I like the idea of getting a growth fund, a growth and income fund, an international fund, and a aggressive growth fund, yeah, that's fine. There's no problem with that. He's 22. Like my daughter Sarah's 27, my son 25. I have kids in their 20s. If you're in your 20s, that's great advice. Go ahead, use it. Heck, if you're in your 30s, go ahead and use it. But once you start getting a bit of money, you start getting into your 40s, and especially you start getting into your 50s. You have to start recognizing that retirement for you might be, in the not too distant future. And if you follow Dave's advice on those 4 funds, growth and income, aggressive growth, and international, if you follow that advice, you need to understand that you are exposing yourself to essentially a 50% loss of your money in a really bad market environment. People are making smart choices. And here's what they're doing. Okay, I have money in an IRA, and that's all great. But when you have money in an IRA, you have a business partner, you and the IRS. And smart people say, I don't want the IRS to be my partner. So they're buying them out. How do you buy the IRS out of your IRA? Well, here's what you do. You move this into a Roth IRA, right? Why? Because a Roth IRA, it's all tax-free. It's all your money. There's no partner. What happened in Washington, D.C.? The politicians are saying, we need more money. And they're looking out there in the landscape and they're saying, holy crap, all these rules that they set up and they gave you, they said, oh, this is horrible. People are actually using these rules to their benefit. They're actually growing money in these things. Then they're growing money in these accounts. Then they're moving it all to Roth IRA, and they're making these great choices for themselves. And we can't have that. You know what this is like? I remember one time I was with a big insurance company. I had car insurance with them, and I paid extra money to have this coverage that if a rock came off the highway and it cracked my windshield, they would just pay to have it replaced. And I remember I'm driving down the road, and sure enough, a rock hits my windshield, cracks it. I have it replaced, file it with the insurance company, and they pay for it. And then a few months later, I'll be darned if it happened again. So I, again, did the same thing. I used what I paid for. What happened? The insurance company dropped me. They said, we don't want anyone who's paying for this product to actually use it. We just want to receive the payments, but not have to pay out any benefits. That's what's going on here, right? The IRS, the government, they're saying, hey, we're giving you these benefits, boom, boom, boom. We're giving you these benefits. And we're giving you the ability to even move money to Roth IRAs. But they don't actually want you using it. It's like, hey, use it, but just don't make too much money. It's almost like, here's a product they're giving you, but if you use it too much, they want to drop you. That's kind of what's going on, just like my car insurance. This is the first time that they've really come after all these 401ks and IRAs. What they're telling you, all of this stuff here that they're talking about only applies to rich people. What they're not telling you is, if you look at how they do things, they float out an idea that they try to get past where it gets their foot in the door. So what's likely going to happen? If they get their foot in the door, they say, it's only for rich people, but guess what? Then it's only a matter of time before they start ratcheting the rules down where it doesn't apply just to rich people, but to everyday people like you and me. It is more important now than ever that you take steps to protect yourself. That might mean accelerating these Roth IRA conversions. It might be looking at things like maybe specially designed life insurance plans. By the way, harder for the IRS to mess with those, or harder for our government to mess with those, because those are contracts, not federal plans, different rules, right? It's time. You've got to address this.